I have 3 running backs and 3 wide receivers, 6 players total that you guys should go out and trade for now before their value rises, before week 3. You guys got to trust me. Last week we did pretty good on this video. I called out Jonathan Taylor, kind of an easy one. Chuba Hubbard did well again. Jordan Mason, he's the bona fide starter. So every week I'm really trying to improve this model of how I approach these trade targets. I'm trying to be a little bit more mathematical or calculated. I'm using kind of a combination at the moment of expected fantasy points, but more importantly, I'm trying to find these trends in expected fantasy points. So there's obviously a lot more factors that kind of go into it. There's like game script, game flow, matchups, defensive coverages. A lot of that stuff matters. Stay tuned tomorrow. I'm going to be doing like a defensive matchup video. It's essentially which teams are playing slot versus man and which wide receivers actually perform well versus those coverages. So let's not waste any more time on this video though. We're going to start this trade video with the first name, which is Brian Thomas Jr. Now he had a 12.4 PPR increase in expected fantasy points. So week 1 he had 12.4 expected, and then he had 23.9 in week 2. Still only scored 8.9 PPR points in week 2. He fails to kind of produce yet again for 2 weeks in a row. Week 1 he gets the cheesy touchdown but low volume, and then week 2 his targets go up, catches go up, yards go up, but he doesn't get a touchdown, man. So he let us down yet again. He had 3 end zone targets in week 2. I just want to say that is important, which is top 10. He would have been top 10 in end zone targets. His teammate, Dyami Brown, future Hall of Famer, also had 3 end zone targets himself. So this is a team that they're really throwing it when they get into the end zone. I think it's wheels up for Brian Thomas moving forward. But let's talk about what happened, man. What's going on? Why is his value so low at the moment? So in the offseason, there was talk that Liam Cohen would put him into this horizontal route role. It's a role that Mike Evans had for Tampa Bay last year. So it was a role that he was super productive in. And people thought that would be super great for fantasy, that they thought Brian Thomas on these horizontal breaking routes, it's like fantasy gold, right? You want those intermediate horizontal routes. That's where a lot of fantasy production can be had. And in week 2, Trevor Lawrence was kind of up and down with his accuracy, but for the most part, the tail of the tape or the tail of week 2 was Brian Thomas kind of playing scared. He was like avoiding contact in the middle of the field. Now, the question I have to ask you guys, man, is this a player who's going to be mentally scared? He's not going to want to catch the ball in the middle of the field. There were a couple of big hits in the preseason that some people were putting up on Twitter saying that he got lit the fuck up in preseason, and maybe that's why he's not scared to catch in the middle. Can he thrive in this high value role, or is he just going to be mentally banged up? Like, can Liam Cohen change things up to put him in easier spots where he's not in such danger from these Trevor Lawrence hospital balls? I mean, not all of them are hospital balls. Some of them, he just doesn't want to take the contact, man. He's just not going for the ball in the middle of the field. So I don't know, man. I think that's the gamble. It's whether we want to trade for him, whether you think he can turn it around, capitalize on some of this expected points, or is he going to continue just letting us down? That's the gamble. In my opinion, my approach, my conclusion is that Liam Cohen is going to do his best, man. He's a great coach. He's a really good offensive minded coach. He's going to put Brian Thomas in positions to succeed. If that means he lightens the load on these horizontal routes to protect him, get him some of the easier stuff, get his mental game back in order, I think he's going to get his confidence up. Listen, man, 5 end zone targets, 15 total targets in week 2, 23.9 expected fantasy points. This is a player that can win leagues. The fact that he is heavily discounted at the moment. Now, some of the owners of Brian Thomas might not want to cut bait this early, right? Maybe they see the same thing we do. They see the 15 targets, they see the end zone targets. But if they don't, if they're 0-2, they're holding Brian Thomas and they thought he'd be like a top 12 wide receiver, that's a dude that we can probably go out and trade for. Somebody whose value is currently at the lowest it might be the entire season after 2 consecutive bad weeks to start the season. People tend to overreact early in the season, man. This could be the time to go out and get him. I do think he has like top 15 potential rest of the season. I just don't think he has that number 1 wide receiver overall potential. I've been saying that since the offseason. He just doesn't have the profile for it. Next, we move on to Nico Collins, somebody who I had as a top 6 wide receiver. I had him as my 4th ranked wide receiver in fantasy football. Looks like we were dead wrong on that, man. He's currently being outproduced by Hunter Renfrow and Kayshon Boutte and a bunch of other random no-name players. But anyway, are the Texans cooked? Is CJ Stroud overrated? Is he, ever since he tried to little boy Caleb Williams in that post game, like, is he just cursed? Is he now just, did he turn into a pumpkin? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. But in week 1, Nico Collins had 9.1 expected PPR points. The panic alarm started to sound a little. He jumps up in week 2 to 18.7 expected. He gets a couple of end zone targets. He could have had a bigger day. They were sailed over his head. That's Stroud making another appearance there. But look, we expected him to jump up in week 2. We expected it to be better. I had him for an anytime touchdown parlay. He hits it. He still only scores 14.2 fantasy points. He doesn't have that, like, top 5 overall potential wide receiver day, like a Malik Neighbors, like a Jamar Chase. So there's one thing I want to call your guys' attention to. So we need to remember that in the offseason, the Houston Texans replaced their offensive coordinator. They were saying that he was too run heavy. They replaced him with Nick Caley, who was the former Rams passing game coordinator. The thinking or the thought process was, let's bring in a dude who can unlock the passing game because we want to utilize some of the weapons that we have on this team. They went out, they drafted Jayden Higgins, they drafted Jaylen Noel, they had Nico Collins, they still got Tank Dell on IR. So this is a team with Stroud and all these young pieces. I think they want it to be a pass first team. And so far, through 2 weeks, CJ Stroud has 27 and 24 passing attempts, man. They are 0-2 at the moment. So maybe Nick Caley is still in syllabus week, and maybe Stroud is just bad. But I think they're going to turn things around. I think if they want to start winning games, they have to turn things around. They have to become a pass first team. That means maybe more Nico Collins, more Woody Marks, more Jayden Higgins, more Jaylen Noel potentially. I know Christian Kirk is coming back this week from his hamstring injury. Maybe he helps out. Maybe he helps open things up underneath. So I think this is a player that you want to go out and grab now because I do think they make the shift. Nick Caley figures out that they need to unlock this passing game. The only chance that they really have to win because they don't really have a good O-line, they can't really run the ball very well, is to be a pass first team. Go out and get Nico Collins now before he explodes this weekend. Which brings us to the next player, which is Mike Evans. So I don't normally recommend buying wide receivers that are older than my dad, but Mike Evans has been kind of studly for the Bucs, kind of under the radar, but he's been kind of studly, man. Let me show you guys this. So this chart here, thanks to Jacob Gibbs, is the separation scores and the win rates for all the 3 wide receivers for the Bucs. We see Mike Evans do, per usual, a 0.23 separation score. That is very good, with a 29% win rate on his route. So Emeka Egbuka, just for comparison, down there at the bottom, a negative separation score and a 10% win rate on his routes. So Emeka Egbuka has really stolen headlines, man. His massive 2-touchdown week, and then he gets another touchdown in week 2. But in week 2, actually, Mike Evans saw his target shares really spike. He had 11 targets. Egbuka has yet to see more than 7 targets in one game, man. We want to chase volume in fantasy football. Emeka Egbuka, this is a classic misdirect, dude. It's like a magician's trick, man. You're watching over here, you're watching his hand on the right, and then he's stealing your wallet on the left, dude. That's Mike Evans. He is stealing people's wallets. He is quietly dominating in the Google Sheets, and it's just going to materialize on the field, man. At some point, he's going to have one of these massive, like, 2-touchdown games. He's going to go for like 150 and 2 touchdowns in a game, and then he's going to be untradeable, right? You're not going to be able to go buy him. And where people are going to remember, like, oh shit, true, he is the alpha, he is the stud on this team. Egbuka has just been profiting from game script, from just really profiting from just touchdowns, right? He's just been getting touchdowns. That's why his production has been so good. Go out there and grab Mike Evans now. You can still get him at a very discounted price. He has not helped fantasy managers at all this season so far. So make sure you guys go and trade for him. I do think he has like top 20 potential, maybe even like top 15 if things go his way, if he starts to get more touchdowns, more yardage. Those are the 3 wide receivers. Let's move along now to the running backs. And the first running back is going to be Cameron Skattebo. Cam Skattebo, the running back for the New York Giants. 1.9 fantasy points in week 1. Unfortunately, that's not going to do it. 12% snaps in week 1, but then he jumps up, man. He gets 12.9 PPR points in week 2, 52% snaps. He goes 11 for 45, gets a touchdown, and then 2 for 14 in the air. So you like to see a little bit of receiving work there. His expected points in those weeks went from 6.6 to 13.9. So we see a jump in opportunities, snap share, and consequently, obviously, his expected points go up. So Tyron Tracy was never really a highly efficient runner. In the thought process, the reason we drafted Cam Skattebo to begin with was that we thought he'd take over the early down work at some point. We didn't know when. We thought it might be mid-season, maybe the post-bye week. But dude, after all it took was 1 week. 1 week, and Tyron Tracy has lost the lead back role. Tyron Tracy seems to be now the receiving back. He's going to be like the change of pace back. That's what it looks like, man. We just don't know yet. I think there's a chance that owners of Cam Skattebo might want to sell high. They might want to sell out of a man who's in a 2-man committee. Can you finagle them? Can you convince them that this is going to be a 2-man committee, man, the rest of the season? Like, let me grab this guy off of you. Like, it might be tough to strip him from them because people will want to see what happens with this backfield. They want to see if Cam Skattebo can take more of the backfield. In my opinion, I do think it's going to be a 2-man backfield the rest of the season. I don't think Tyron Tracy will ever go away. He's going to need an injury to become a true 3-down back. And because of that, he's discounted. Because of that, you can still get him at like the RB40 cost, right? So see what you guys can do, man. See if you could still get him at that like RB4 cost, because I do think he has like RB3, maybe even like top 25 potential if things go his way, if this when the schedule lightens up a little bit. All right, next we got J.K. Dobbins. Quietly been an absolute stud in 2025. 11 expected fantasy points in week 1. That jumps up to 15.7 in week 2. I think they just realized he's their best running back. I mean, I've been saying it since before the season. I even tweeted this in the offseason. Like, I just think J.K. Dobbins is better than R.J. Harvey. I know R.J. Harvey has the speed and the burst and the juice, but J.K. Dobbins is a better running back, right? He understands the position a lot more. He's not a rookie. It's to be expected. And we don't love the decreasing snap share where he goes from 53% to 45%, and they were winning that game. Ideally, in a game that they're winning, J.K. Dobbins is he's the beating stick, right? He's the guy that they lean on. And R.J. Harvey took a step back, man. He goes 5 for only 8 yards in week 2 after he goes like 5 for 70 in week 1. He does get a reception for 16 yards, shows, kind of his potential as a receiver. Tyler Boutte, only 3 total opportunities, but his snap share goes up also a tiny bit. Listen, I think the hypothesis here is simple, man. J.K. Dobbins is trusted by Sean Payton. They said he'd be the lead back. He's been very effective in that role. So he is a very good running back on a very competent team that has an S-tier defense, dude. That is the recipe for a starting caliber running back that we want to target in fantasy football. I mean, what am I missing here, man? Maybe you guys can tell me down in the comments. Like, are we certain that RJ Harvey is going to take over the back? Like, everyone says that he's going to take over the backfield, quote unquote. Is that really going to happen, man? Because if we look at seasons past of when that type of shit happens, when you think about Bucky Irving taking over for Rachaad White was a very inefficient running back between the tackles as an early down back. That was a massive strike on Rachaad White's profile his entire career, right? Zamir White, same type of deal, man. A very inefficient volume-based running back. J.K. Dobbins is not inefficient. He's not an inefficient early down running back. RJ Harvey's not going to take over this role unless J.K. Dobbins strings together like 3-4 games of like 2 yards per carry, 3 yards per carry, which I don't see happening. This is a very good O-line. It's a very good defense. It's a very good team. They're not going to be getting blown out very often, right? Their defense is always going to keep them in games. So I just don't see the downside to going for a guy like J.K. Dobbins. Even if RJ Harvey eats into this workload and becomes like a bona fide, 30% snap guy. I want to show you guys one more chart, man. This is just the red zone rushing attempts. So we see J.K. Dobbins right here, number 5 in the NFL, man. He gets 4 red zone rush attempts. He gets a touchdown. Now, I will say, he did get stuffed on the goal line twice in 2 different drives, and then he punches in the touchdown after those 2 stuffings. So they could have been like, you know what, let's go away from him on the goal line, but they stick with him. RJ Harvey and Boutte are never going to take goal line from J.K. Dobbins, even if he's getting stuffed, and we just saw it in week 2, right? They could have went away from him. They didn't. They stuck with him, and he gets the touchdown, and we love the volume, right? I mean, fucking shout out to David Montgomery over here, man. 5 red zone attempts. You love to see it, dude. Let's go. And look, man, just to put a bow on this, J.K. Dobbins has 4 rushes of 10 plus yards in 2025. That's tied for the second best in the NFL. He's priced at like an RB4, RB3, like in the 30s, but he's going to be performing like a top 20 guy, man. So if you can go out and get him at that cost, man, he's somebody that I absolutely love targeting. If I'm looking for an RB2 and I don't want to spend up for like one of the top tier guys, I'm going for J.K. Dobbins, man. And now we end this list with the third running back. This is going to be a guy that is going to be increasingly difficult to trade for, but I have to call him out. It is James Cook, currently the RB1 on the season. All right, man. So 16 total touchdowns last year was not a fluke. He already has 3 in 2025. He's been an absolute stud. 40 total touches in 2 weeks. He's an absolute workhorse running back, workhorse volume. He's the RB1, man. Through 2 weeks, he's the RB1, ahead of Jonathan Taylor, ahead of Gibbs, ahead of all your household names. He gets the big contract. He's the main weapon on this offense. He has, honestly, I'm not being hyperbolic here. He has like top 3 upside. It's Bijan and then it's James Cook to me. Maybe Jonathan Taylor, but I do have my concerns about the offense in Indianapolis. It seems like they're playing at their ceiling at the moment, and Jonathan Taylor has to go full hero mode for them to actually win a game by 1 point. So I want to show you guys just one more chart here. It's just the Fantasy Pros rest of season rankings. And we see that James Cook here is ranked number 9. Listen, I'll have him ahead of a lot of these guys, but he has 4 stars on strength of schedule rest of season. And then in the playoffs, he's got 3 stars. So that's clear skies across the board. I would rank him higher than this personally. I'd rank him potentially above Saquon Barkley. I don't know, man. I just don't see any negatives here. I see the Eagles' offense as being kind of incompetent and kind of slow and boring this year. Saquon Barkley's still going to be the guy, but I just think the Buffalo Bills are such a high-powered offense, man, where they can hit you from every single angle, but James Cook is clearly the lead guy for them, man. That's why I like him more than some of these other guys. All right, I want to show you guys this trade from the Discord community. Shout out to Eddie Wonton. Shout out to the Discord community. Make sure you guys join it, dude. We're talking ball every day, man. It's a dope little growing community. He got a trade request. He's going to be sending away CeeDee Lamb for James Cook and Terry McLaurin. Now, in a vacuum, I take this trade, like without even looking at the teams. But just to give a little bit more context, his running backs are Derrick Henry, Benson, Spears, and Allgeier. So he's basically got hero RB. He's got Henry and a bunch of RB, like handcuffs, right, essentially. And his wide receivers, he's got CeeDee Lamb, Puka Nacua, Cedric, Tillman, Kayshon, Boutte, Allgeier, Maynard, Deontay Thorne. So the state of this man's team is that he has a hero RB, and then he's got 2 bona fide top 5 wide receivers and a bunch of like wide receiver 3s, right? Like Cedric Tillman's maybe the best third option there. Maybe Kayshon Boutte also has some upside. Allgeier Maynard as well. So my approach to this is that you definitely smash this trade. You can make the argument that James Cook for CeeDee Lamb straight up, just with the state of this guy's team, makes sense to me, right? You only have one running back that's really playable. You only have Derrick Henry, so you're fixing your RB2 spot, and you're still going to have serviceable pieces at wide receiver, including probably the wide receiver 1 in fantasy in Puka Nacua. So you're going to be able to start Cedric Tillman. You're going to be able to start Allgeier Maynard or Kayshon Boutte at your flex. This is a fantastic trade request, one that I would take. James Cook, as I mentioned, with top 3 potential if he stays healthy. With CeeDee Lamb, I don't know if he has top 3 wide receiver potential. I truly don't think that. I know that might sound contrarian. It might sound like I'm being a prisoner of the moment at the moment, but I just don't know if he has the touchdown upside, man. So I'm taking this trade personally. You're having Terry McLaurin in addition to that. You throw him at your flex. You're now going to be starting James Cook, Derrick Henry. You're going to have Puka Nacua, and then you're going to have Terry McLaurin at your wide receiver 2, and then throw Cedric Tillman and Boutte at your 2 flexes, or 1 flex. I don't know how many flex spots he has, but to me, that's the better starting lineup. Your running back 2 is not such a sketchy situation. I mean, who were you starting before this? Trey Benson, Tyler Allgeier, just hoping he falls into the end zone. You got to make these trades when you don't have a deep roster. That's a trade that I absolutely love. Eddie, thank you for submitting that. Here's another trade from Dre from the Discord community. Thank you so much, man, for submitting this. We got Brian Thomas Jr. for Jordan Love and AJ Brown. Look, man, the Eagles are last place in wide receiver usage. That's just the game script. They want to run the ball and they want to lean on their defense. They don't want to make mistakes on offense. So they're not going to be a pass first team ever, as long as the head coach is in town, as long as this team is constructed this way. So I'm trying to get off of AJ Brown. I know a lot of people are calling him a buy low candidate, but in my opinion, man, if people see the name and they see AJ Brown, they see he's a buy low candidate, sell him. Sell him, man. Trade him away for whatever you can get. If you can get a Brian Thomas Jr., do it without even thinking, man. Jordan Love is a replaceable level quarterback. Obviously, this isn't a super flex league, so this is why you'd want to make this trade, right? Jordan Love had a couple of good first weeks, but Jordan Love doesn't really have that 30-point potential. And any quarterback that doesn't have like a 30-point potential is expendable. If you can ever put them into a trade and move up at wide receiver at any skill position and you're throwing in a quarterback, I would do it, man, and stream QBs if you have to. You can start Mac Jones and probably match the production of Jordan Love. So thank you again, Dre, for that trade, man. I really appreciate that. That does it for the video. 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers that you guys should go out and trade for. Hope I gave some good arguments for them. Thank you for watching this video, and thank you for giving me your time if you are still here with me. If you are, a like is the best way to show support. Really helps the channel, man. Trying to grow, trying to hit 2K subscribers. And subscribe, if you want to catch more of this. Discord link down below. You guys can join it. Submit your trades. We talk ball. It's a dope little community. It's really tight knit at the moment, and we talk ball every day, man. Every day of the week. Thank you guys for submitting the trades again. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video, man. I really think it's the most important video of the week. It's the wide receiver coverage video. We're gonna be talking about who plays zone, who plays man. It worked out super well for us, man. Roma Dunze was a guy that I covered on that video. Ended up popping off. Make sure you guys subscribe so that you do catch it tomorrow, man. And that does it for this video. I will catch you guys tomorrow. Peace.